So I was sitting in my room, bored and alone. Huh? Sonic 2 takes place on West Side Island, which Eggman has settled on and began to take over. Once again, he's enslaved all the animals, and this time he's after the 7 Chaos Emeralds. Why are there 7 now? I don't know, I guess one of them just so happened to be on West Side Island while the rest were on the South Island. Doesn't really make sense to me, but okay. To get the emeralds, you must have 50 rings and pass a checkpoint. When you do this, sparkles will appear and you can jump through them to go to a special stage. Similar to Sonic CD, you're put in a 3D environment, but this time it looks like a half pipe. Lots of people hate these things for some reason, at least that's what I've seen, but I actually kind of enjoy them. Then again, I mostly play the mobile-only version made by Christian Whitehead, which makes the special stages a lot easier to play. All you have to do is collect enough rings by the time you reach the goal and you get the emerald. Not too bad. During all this, Eggman has launched his Death Egg. What purpose does it serve? I have no idea. It doesn't seem to have any planet-destroying laser, and it seems to serve no purpose other than being a space station. Oh yeah, Tails is here, I guess. Who's he? A two-tailed mutant fox that flies with his ass. He also knows how to fly Sonic's plane for some reason. Sonic's moveset is pretty much the same as Sonic 1, running, jumping, rolling, blah blah blah. Though, he does have the spin dash, which lets you curl into a ball staying still and launch yourself at high speeds. You can also play as Tails, but his moveset is exactly the same in this game, though he does fly back to Sonic whenever he goes off screen or dies. Honestly, during a normal playthrough of this game, Tails is basically useless. He doesn't do much other than follow you around, and in special stages, he collects rings and gets hit immediately, causing you to lose them. It can be pretty annoying, but whatever. After starting, the game puts you in Green Hill Zone. The game puts you in Emerald Hill Zone. This zone looks very similar to Green Hill, though honestly, I kinda like its design more. It brings back the striped grass, but the checkered dirt is more randomized, which I like a lot. There's also a lot of space to build up speed, which is always nice. Actually, most of the levels in this game do, so I'll probably just skip over saying that for now. This level introduces corkscrew loops, which are probably some of my favorite level gimmicks. I don't know why, they're just fun to go through. The enemies are fine, some of them are reused from Sonic 1, like those fish things and the wasp drones. As usual, they're pretty easy to deal with. Each zone has 2 acts, as it should be. One with a signpost and one with a boss in an animal capsule. The boss is Eggman and his drill car thing. Pretty easy to deal with, just jump on his head 8 times. Moving on to reused zone number 57, I mean Chemical Plant. Despite being reused in 3 out of the 4 most recent mainline Sonic games, this zone is actually really enjoyable. It goes by incredibly fast. There's lots of slopes and loops that let you build up speed, and occasional boost pads that let you keep that momentum. I don't think a level should rely on boost pads, but it sorta makes sense here. They're not used too often, and a lot of the slopes are very large, and they're kinda necessary in some parts. There's pink water stuff, probably meant to be chemicals, I don't know. It's not really that big of a deal until Act 2 in a specific section that I'm pretty sure everyone who's played Sonic 2 knows about. The enemies are alright. Sometimes the spider looking things are annoying, but I had no trouble with them on this run. The boss is okay, it's pretty annoying if you don't know how to deal with it, but it's really easy if you do. Normally you'd have to dodge the toxic sludge he drops on you, but I just balanced and bounced on his head till he died. Easy. Now before I talk about Aquatic Ruin, there's 2 things I need to mention. The first one being my cat Gibson has decided the most comfortable place right now is sitting on my lap while I'm trying to record this audio. Thank you Gibson, you're really distracting. The second thing is one thing I failed to mention earlier. Once you collect all 7 Chaos Emeralds, which I did in Chemical Plant Act 2, and collect 50 rings, you can transform into Super Sonic. Basically just Sonic but yellow and even more spiky quills. Plus he can fly, is exponentially faster, is invincible to everything except drowning and being crushed to death. So yeah, Super Sonic makes the game a lot easier. Anywho, Aquatic Ruin is neat. It reminds me of Labyrinth Zone, a little bit at least, with its ancient looking architecture and water. The difference is that the water is completely avoidable and not an annoyance at all. The enemies are alright, though there's one that does annoy me quite a bit. Those fly looking things, I think they're called the Wisp, if the wiki isn't lying to me. They come out of nowhere and are really small and fast, making them hard to hit, though just charging a spin dash should kill them. The boss of the zone is pretty cool. Eggman summons 2 totem poles that shoots arrows whenever hit. Use the arrows to climb to the top of the poles and reach Eggman. Remember how I said Collision Chaos was the real first casino level in the Sonic games? I lied! Collision Chaos is like the preschool of the casino levels. Casino Night is where the real fun begins. It's got flippers and gambling. What more could you ask for? Also, Sonic 2 did come out first, so I guess that's the thing. The level's visual design is pretty neat. It's very colorful, and there's lots of things that send you flying. Even the enemies send you flying, like these weird bumper knight things that are called crawl for some reason. The springs that send you flying to the moon are pretty fun too. Also, there's a few bits that you can easily get crushed to death in by those blue block things if you're not careful, but I didn't, so that's okay. The boss is fine. It's sort of annoying if you don't have Supersonic, but if you do, it literally takes 5 seconds. On the off chance that you don't have Supersonic, all you have to do is dodge spiky balls and attack Eggman from the top. Hilltop Zone is fun. I like it. The art style is neat, the gimmicks are cool, it's all around a pretty good level. Half the floor is lava, which isn't a problem if you're Supersonic for the entire level. Though, the lava does rise in some parts, one of which you can easily get crushed to death in, which is pretty annoying. The other one is a giant open room that you have to swiftly jump from platform to platform to escape the rising lava. You'll also find seesaws scattered throughout the level that'll launch you into higher places when used correctly. Those are pretty creative, and I'm glad they were used over springs in most places. The enemies are fine. I'm not a big fan of the ones that you have to wait to kill, but it's whatever. The boss is pretty okay, I guess. To be honest, a lot of the bosses in this game are just fine in my opinion. This one is Eggman in a lava submarine where he shoots fire and lava at you. It's pretty easy. Supersonic, all you have to do is stand below him and jump. Mystic Cave Zone? Yeah, it's pretty good. There's quite a few hazards in the stage. Lots of spikes, crushers, moving blocks, etc. The visual design is neat. Not great, but not terrible. There's quite a few grabbable things, like you pull on them and they do things. God, I'm terrible at explaining this. One of those grabby sections is right above a spike pit that's too deep to get out of, even with Supersonic. In fact, it's even more annoying with Supersonic because you can't die from the spikes, so you're forced to wait until your rings deplete before you die. In the mobile-only version of Sonic 2, the genius Christian Whitehead turned this pit into a gateway to a secret level called Hidden Palace Zone, which is scrapped from the original version of Sonic 2. Anywho, the enemies are alright. The centipede things are a neat idea, and those firefly things are pretty annoying since you can't hit them half the time. The boss usually causes Rebel and Spikes to fall from the ceiling, but Supersonic? Yep. Oil Ocean is, well, what do you think? It's obvious. The bottom of the map is entirely covered in oil, which slows you down and slowly sinks you, making it a good but not too cruel punishment for players who aren't as good at the game. The rest of the level has this yellow and purple factory look. I don't mind the look, but it's kinda compared to the rest of the game, at least in my opinion. The level gimmicks are pretty neat though. There's these checkered ball things that send you flying along a path. I think those are pretty fun to watch, though they don't serve too much of a purpose other than fast travel. I really like the oil slides. They remind me of that water slide from Act 3 of Labyrinth Zone. But not as annoying because it's not Labyrinth Zone. There's also pushy springs and spike rings, but those aren't as cool. The enemies are fine. The only one I can even remember are those octopus things. Octus is what I believe they're called. They levitate above the ground and shoot tiny pellets at you. Sometimes annoying, but mostly pretty easy to deal with. The boss is Eggman, once again in a submarine because he's unoriginal or something, except now he has lasers and a weird claw thing. Not sure what that's supposed to be, but whatever. I don't know why, but I used to be absolutely terrible at this boss fight. It's not hard, must have been like I'm stupid or something, I don't know. Basically, it's just dodge his attacks by any means necessary, and jump on the sub whenever it's visible. Pretty straightforward. Metropolis Zone? Fun? No. Not fun? Yes! Metropolis Zone exists, and I'm not sure I'm a fan of that. At least it's not as bad as Scrap Brain Zone, but I still don't like it. It's filled with lots of traps and questionable enemy placement. It's also the only zone of the game to have 3 acts. Like, out of all the zones, why this one? I'm not entirely sure this is true, but I've heard from some sources, specifically the former YouTuber Cybershell, that there was a 1-act zone that was planned for the game called Genocide City, but it never got past the concept stage, though for some reason they used the leftover stage in the game as an Act 3 for Metropolis. The level itself is a green factory with several lava pits, crushers, spikes, hot steam. This doesn't really sound like a safe work environment. The enemies are annoying. The mantis looking things are sometimes put in really inconvenient spots which you can't avoid their attacks. The crab robots are better, but can be terrible if you're going really quickly, which, to be fair, probably isn't happening too much since there's a hazard around every corner. Starfish fangs are fine, they usually don't activate unless you get really close, but on occasion, Tails will turn one on and it'll get a hit on you, causing you to fall all the way down a pit because it's the only place they're located. The boss of this zone isn't even fair. The only way to hit it without damage boosting is to time your attacks perfectly, which is something I'm terrible at. I suppose the boss does get easier the more you hit it though, so it's whatever I guess. Sky Chase Zone and Wing Fortress Zone are basically just Act 1 and 2 of the same zone, so I'm just gonna include them in the same section, because I can. My video, you can't stop me. Sky Chase takes place in the sky, obviously, specifically on the wing of Sonic's plane, the Tornado. This level is an auto-scroller where all you have to do is attack enemies and wait for the level to end. It's pretty boring in my opinion, but it gives you a cool shot of Wing Fortress Zone. Speaking of Wing Fortress Zone, this is far better than Sky Chase. In the beginning of the act, Tails is shot out of the sky, leaving Sonic alone on Eggman's flying fortress. There's some pretty difficult platforming in the stage, though you can skip it entirely in some spots. Sometimes with Super Sonic, sometimes without. The enemies aren't very notable, so let's skip to the boss. Eggman traps Sonic in a box, with a laser and some spiked platforms. All you have to do to get out is beat up the laser. After that, Eggman hops in a spaceship as his final escape plan. The ship launches, leaving Sonic stranded on the Wing Fortress, but then, Tails comes back, somehow not dead from a plane crash and with the plane fully intact, and he managed to get Sonic up to Eggman's ship. Also, for some reason, Sonic has retained his super form color palette in this cutscene. This isn't supposed to happen normally, I don't know why it did it this run, but whatever, it's fine. The spaceship docks on the Death Egg, Eggman's space station. This zone has 0 rings and 2 boss fights. The first of these bosses is Silver Sonic, basically another version of Metal Sonic. He's pretty easy to deal with if you know what you're doing. Anywho, after defeating Silver Sonic, Eggman shows you who the real fastest thing alive is and jumps into a hatch. The hatch rises from the ground, revealing itself as the final boss, the Death Egg robot. Basically, just a mechanical version of Eggman with Spikes' fingers. This boss is pretty challenging. All you have to do is hit the torso 12 times, and there's 2 ways of doing this. The easiest way is to wait for the robot to launch in the air, and when it lands, it will crouch down and give you an opportunity to strike. The other option is to try to hit it while it's walking, which takes extreme precision, and even then the spike hitbox is weird and will kill you anyways. After defeating the boss, the Death Egg begins to explode. Sonic runs towards the nearest escape point and... Tails watches the explosion from the island, wondering if there's something he can do to help. He gets an idea, hops in the tornadoes, and flies off in hopes to catch Sonic. Will he do it? Will Tails finally become useful again? Ha! No. Super Sonic can fly. Tails, you're useless!